is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. So what does that mean? That means we're starting 2 hours early today inside the SWBC podcast studio as Tampa Bay week has begun for us here on Mick Shots. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. We are just very proud of the fact that we all remembered that we are 2 hours early today. We had to turn our clocks back 2 hours.
Us, right?
That's right, yes.
Get us out of our routine.
Yep. And so there's a lot to get to after a full weekend of NFL games, including 2 Monday night games last night that looked like better matchups probably if they had been played in September than December. But here we are. We move on to week number 16, and the Cowboys still have playoff hopes.
They had us. They actually had us in the category.
They put in the hunt.
In the hunt still? We're back in the hunt after one win?
In the hunt. Saints are under us. We're second to last, and the Saints are last.
Moving on up.
Moving on up, buddy. Ooh, boy, I tell you.
The Saints still have a chance, huh?
I think they're like 5-7, something like that.
Just because of their division, maybe?
I would imagine.
If Tampa Bay loses out.
They're 5-9. So they're 3 games back with 3 to go.
There, so that's why they're still technically in it.
And they probably have to play one.
Sounds like the Cowboys.
Yeah,
right.
Don't sound too arrogant there, Bill.
But we figured out the path. And what helped on the path was Atlanta winning last night. Mm-hmm. You want to root for Atlanta. You want Atlanta to keep on keeping on because you want Atlanta to be up there at least tied with Tampa Bay.
Oh, you want them to get.
You want them to win that
division. The division.
Right.
Otherwise, they've got to lose.
Because you lost to Atlanta. You do not want to be involved in any sort of tiebreaker that includes Atlanta.
They basically now have to lose.
Right. They need to get ahead of Tampa, or at least even with Tampa Bay, because they beat Tampa Bay twice, so they have the tiebreaker on them for the division.
Right.
And as it plays out here, the Atlanta success helps you. Now, obviously, the Cowboys have to win out. And a win over Tampa Bay helps Atlanta's cause, too. But Washington, they play Philadelphia this week, and then they play Atlanta. And so if Atlanta will keep winning games, that helps the Cowboys. And you just want to get to that last week where you have a chance to catch Washington, and that's without regard to what happens in the West. You need help out there, too.
Well, the way I went a step further on all that stuff. So, yes, you don't want to end up in a tie with Atlanta. If you end up in a tie with Washington, which means they got to lose out and you got to win out,
and you'll have the tiebreaker.
Then you'll have the tiebreaker. If they also need Seattle to lose 2 games, if they're a wild card team, right? Mm-hmm. So if the Rams win the West, then
so you want the Rams to go ahead and take care of business.
Take care of business.
Win on out, Rams.
If the Cowboys end up in a tie at 9-8 with Seattle and Arizona, they win the tiebreaker on the basis of a better NFC record.
Mm-hmm. And Washington would be included in that.
Right. And Washington, you would win head-to-head, right?
But if there's a 4-way tie.
Oh, you mean a 4-way tie for that last spot?
Right, because that was the best you can do is tie Washington, but so you got to look at it first. You have to look at a three-way,
and you would beat Washington on NFC record also.
But you don't get to that until you get it in a head-to-head tiebreaker with them.
So
first you got to win the multi-team tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. And so, to your point, they have a better conference. Cowboys would have a better conference record than any combination of Dallas, Washington, and the West teams.
Correct.
Okay.
Because the best
That helps clarify things then.
because if Seattle and Arizona don't get to 10 wins, then they're going to end up 5-7 and 4-8 in the NFC, and the Cowboys could end up 7-5. So that's the tiebreaker that would go forward. But you would need none of those teams to get to 10 wins because the Cowboys can't get to 10 wins, right?
And so in order to do that, for Seattle, which is 8-6 right now,
Right.
they need to lose 2 of their last 3 games, and their
Correct.
final 3 opponents are Minnesota, which they will not be favored in, at Chicago, which they would be favored, and at the Rams, which they probably would not be favored.
So they can beat Chicago. That's okay.
They're fine beating Chicago. They just need to lose to Minnesota and
Right.
the Rams. And as far as Arizona, which is at 7-7 right now, they're at Carolina. Let's say that's a win. That's 8-7. Then they are at the Rams. Make that a loss. They're 8-8, and then they finish against San Francisco, and it doesn't matter then.
Right.
So they just need to lose one of their last 3.
Right. And you got to make sure that nobody gets to 10 wins because the Cowboys cannot get to 10
Right.
wins.
So it's actually doable.
It is.
It really is doable.
As Mike McCarthy.
But the problem, the biggest issue in this whole scenario, I think the biggest issue is Dallas winning 3 games.
Yeah.
And you got to beat Tampa Bay, and they have not done well against teams with winning records. And then you got to go on the road and
beat
Philadelphia. And
Which by the way now has, even though the division is likely theirs, although they still haven't wrapped it up, of course, they're in the hunt for the first round bye still.
Yeah, so they can't say, "Oh, that game doesn't
Right.
matter to us," because
Right.
they want that first round.
And it's
bye
Dallas
now.
too.
And it's Dallas, and with Detroit and Minnesota now tied at 12-2, and Philadelphia's 12-2. So yeah, that first.
So we have
bye.
What we've done here, Everson, is we have cleared a path. Okay, the road is narrow.
And by the way,
the gate is small,
and it's
the road is narrow.
and the light is twilight.
No,
too.
it ain't a gate. It's a doggy door. That's what, there's no gate. It's a doggy door. I can see us trying to get through that hole.
But yeah, you can, as McCarthy said yesterday when it was brought up. Yeah, we talked to the team about it. We know, but what I know is we got to beat Tampa Bay.
That's right. They don't need to get into the minutia
really
that we
don't.
just got
They
into,
really don't.
but they just need to know they got to keep winning.
As I wrote, if you look at the big picture, it would be overwhelming. You got to just take snapshots
Yes.
now.
Well, they say one bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
Now, and having said all of that, the Cowboys play on Sunday night against Tampa Bay. And in order for that game to mean something,
Yes.
they need Washington to lose to Philadelphia on Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Doable.
Okay, so you're an Eagle fan on Sunday afternoon.
So Washington,
Otherwise, they're eliminated.
you realize Washington doesn't have an easy road.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They have to either beat Philadelphia, Atlanta, or Dallas. And beating Atlanta after watching last night may not be too difficult.
But that's the Kirk Cousins homecoming game in
Oh.
Washington. Now, his last homecoming
Another
game,
level of motivation.
his last homecoming game to Minnesota did not work out well for him.
Oh, man. Can you guys realize how many, what slim hopes that we're grabbing for? Oh, my God. This is so slim. First of all, Tampa is a good team.
That's right.
They really are.
They're scoring a lot of points here lately.
Baker Mayfield he's just a guy to be reckoned with. That's just all it is to it. Such a long way from Carolina to now, right? He was just out there just winging it in Carolina for a while.
And even longer way from Cleveland
Right.
now.
I mean, got Beckham and is getting into arguments with everybody and fighting with him, and now he just gets under a regime that's, full of really experienced coaches. Who's the offensive coordinator? That's what I was.
Who did they? Because Dave Canales was there. Let me look up real quick. Clearly, I haven't done my research yet on Tampa Bay.
Well, I mean, because first of all, you're dealing with got to be a future Hall of Famer, Mike Evans. That kid is really good. He's dogged. Of course, we've seen him before. We know what he can do and can't do.
But they lost some wide receivers, right? Mm-hmm. If I remember.
Well, they
correctly.
lost. It was in that game they were trying to come back in Chris Godwin. The final 2 minutes of that game. Liam Cohen is our offensive coordinator, and he is spent some time with Sean McVay with the Rams.
Yeah.
He was the Kentucky offensive coordinator in college, and then went to the Rams and went back to Kentucky, and so he was hired. But he was hired to replace Dave Canales, who's now at Carolina, the head coach. So,
and having said that, with the amount of points they've been scoring, let's see on this. See if they have the points here for Tampa Bay. They have scored 403 points so far. In the NFC, that ranks second.
Behind Detroit.
403, Detroit's 459. And by the way, no other team in the NFC has scored 400 points. And here comes the Cowboys chugging along at 298. That's 20 points a game?
Yeah, just about.
but they're coming off. The Tampa Bay's coming off a game in which they fell behind 17-10 against the Chargers, and then they rattled off 30 straight points to end the game. So
I didn't really see the first half of that game. Only the second half is what really stands out. And what you see is a quarterback like Baker Mayfield who really has a feel for this offense. I don't really care who's playing. I guess the strength of their team has to be their offensive line, because he's able to negotiate in the pocket very well. They keep him from getting into a lot of trouble. Not nearly the mistakes and turnovers that Baker Mayfield has been known for in the past. And that is a problem, because when you get him outside the pocket, he's just as dangerous as any other quarterback in the NFL.
You know, and what my memory is of him with Cleveland was he was running for his life all the time. You know, which to your point, when he gets out of the pocket, he makes plays, whatever. Which is what he did in college. Because he'd be running for his life and he'd make a play and all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think he figured out that what worked in college doesn't work in the NFL a lot of times. That's what he figured out in Cleveland. Right. And then it continued at Carolina. And then after one practice with Sean McVay with the Rams, all of a sudden it clicked for him.
Isn't that something?
And how about if he didn't ever get that opportunity?
But that was his first game, his only game.
It was like a Thursday game. He arrived on
a national telecast.
He arrived on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he had to play on Thursday.
That's right.
And he won the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that one moment in time just resurrected his career. Well, and then he bet on himself after that. Okay.
What he did was he knew he was with a good coach. He knew he was with a good coach who knew how to take advantage of his lively arm. I mean, you can look at Baker Mayfield and easily call him Matt Stafford. You could easily call him Stafford. I mean, they play the same. They have the same, little tricks with the ball and ways to get rid of the ball. Brett Favre-like stuff. Same thing.
I think it was the second coming of the victory of the uncluttered mind.
That's right.
He didn't know anything. He just went out and played.
And but even for Sean McVay saw that in him, And so then, just like he did in college, he bet on himself after he was at Texas Tech. Okay, mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes is there, comes in right after him. Yeah. In fact, he was a non-scholarship player and Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't give him a scholarship because he had this guy named Mahomes that was going to be their guy. So then he transfers and walks on at Oklahoma and has to, back then, lo and behold, you had to sit out a year, even as a non-scholarship player, at both places that you're at. And he was playing intramural football and winning on the intramural football field at OU. Yeah. And Bob Stoops tells the story.
He looks like he's still out there playing intramural football.
But even at Tech, his true freshman year, he started like 5 games at Tech, and but then didn't get a scholarship, and so he bet on himself and went to Oklahoma, and even with what they had at quarterback, whatever, he wins the job and becomes a starter for 3 years there. And Kyler Murray has to sit on the bench behind him for a full year.
So when he went to Oklahoma, did he go as a walk-on or a scholarship?
It was a walk-on. Yeah, Stoops didn't even know who he was when he walked into his office.
Didn't ask for NIL money back then, right?
Right. So then, after that stint with the Rams, then he bet on himself again and signs with Tampa Bay, and then one season follows the greatest quarterback in the history of the game and sends him to the playoffs, and then he gets a bigger deal.
You want to add another?
Now he's working on a bigger deal.
You want to add another layer to that concern? No Diggs, no Butler, and Oruwariye and Lewis did not finish the game. So they could be without. Could be. We'll find out probably a little bit more tomorrow. Their top 4 current, or 4 of their top 5 current cornerbacks having to go up against everything Bill just said. Better get a hell of a pass rush.
I'm going back to see those 2 corners, those 2 DBs that they signed to the practice squad.
You're going to have to.
But they're
ask you, who's next in line?
Though, aren't they?
D. Delaney and Troy Pride were signed to the practice squad a week ago. And by the way, they also signed, and I like this signing to the practice squad last week, Braden Daniels, offensive guard. He was a 4th-round pick of Washington last year, and then he's had injury issues. He's been on like 3 different practice squads this year, but he's from Hebron High School. I liked him coming out. He was in the Big Green Notebook. That's a guy on down the road.
I tell you what, we don't just have to deal with Baker Mayfield, and I'm talking myself into this. It must be the offensive line because what is this guy, Bucky Irving?
Yeah, he's good.
Well, hell,
out of Oregon.
He's got a lot of holes. he had a lot to choose from, So sometimes when he's running through that line, he didn't even get touched, and those are the kind of things that make me nervous. Having a guy that's shifty, and he's so small, getting behind those big offensive linemen, you don't know he's behind you until you're 5 yards down the line.
4th-round draft pick out of Oregon, Bucky Irving, rookie. 125th pick, and they were teaming him with Rachaad White. So that running back by committee. I actually like their 3rd back, Sean Tucker, out of Syracuse. He had a neck injury, head injury coming out, and that's why he actually was not drafted. But he had a game earlier this season where he went for 131 yards and 14 carries himself.
Okay.
So their run game is real, which again speaks to what you're talking about. Their offensive line is real. And one of the guys on that offensive line is their center, Graham Barton, who's a 1st-round draft pick who I know was on the radar of the Cowboys. And Cowboys opted to trade down and pick up a 3rd-round pick, which in essence became Cooper Beebe, their center, and drafted Tyler Guyton. Who, by the way, on Guyton, you notice anything on him in the game the other day?
No penalties.
Do you notice him at the line of scrimmage where, he has had a tendency, and he's gotten called for this, illegal formation stuff.
He got his butt up on the line of scrimmage.
He was clearly he has been coached to, and it's almost like he did not have, and I didn't look closely. It just at the snap of the ball, I was like, All right, he's doing something different with his
His
stance.
alignment?
His
his
stance. His
not
stance. And
Yeah.
he left tackles will put that left foot back.
Yeah.
And he was more square to the line of scrimmage. It seemed like to me. But,
And that's unusual for a tackle.
right.
Yeah, because
Well,
they want to get that jump.
Should have told that to Udoga, too. Get your butt on the line of scrimmage.
Why does he?
He just always. Do you want to go on a rant here in a second?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
But regardless of how he set up, he played better.
Mm-hmm.
He played more aggressively, I thought. And
He's got an aggressive
but without,
streak about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the problem. He's
Well,
too
yeah.
aggressive.
Right, exactly.
he's got to learn what who was it that it was Tyler Smith. Remember all the holdings he got?
Yeah.
He wasn't holding, he was punishing the guy to the ground and they were calling holding.
I mean, Connor Williams did that all the time, too.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely guiding. That's definitely
Yeah,
guiding.
that's
He does
right.
that, yeah.
It's like he wants a finisher.
It's the mean
Not
streak.
on the play, for the game.
Right.
Mean streaks can work against you.
Yes.
They can.
Yeah, because that's what they see at the end, right?
Yep. You know, Mickey's got a mean streak about
He
him,
does,
too.
man.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a Mick rant. It's not called a Walls rant or a Bill rant. It's a Mick rant.
That's right. And we're going to see in just a moment if
He's got any more.
if he's got anything left in the tank when Mick Shots continues in a moment.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/cowboys to get started.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Back to Mick Shots.
Tis the season for youth football and dance camps presented by Invisalign. Don't miss your chance to learn from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders at dance camps on December 27th and former NFL players at football camps on December 23rd and 27th. Celebrate the holidays with the Cowboys and register today at dallascowboys.com/camps.
Okay, we continue with Mick Shots, and Everson's been talking about this Tampa Bay offensive line, and he's jumped the gun on me because normally I don't really start studying the opponent until Wednesday of the week, and so I've been scrambling here in the break trying to answer some of his questions. The offensive line for Tampa Bay, Everson, one of the reasons that they're successful on offense is exactly what you're pointing to. And right off the top of my head, what I see with this offensive line is they have been virtually injury-free.
Really?
And if you look across the board in the National Football League, the teams that are successful, it's usually you can point to their offensive line. In this case, whatever area of a team you're talking about, it's because they still got their regular players playing.
Yeah.
And they have Tampa Bay has invested in their offensive line. Their first-round draft pick, Tristan Wirfs, was the 13th overall pick, and he's on his second contract now. And as I mentioned, Graham Barton, their center, is a first-round pick. Cody Mock, their right guard, was a second-round pick last year. So he's been here in the last couple of years with those two guys that they've shored things up. The one injury issue they've had is at right tackle. They've had a couple of guys that have played there, but which gets me to the Detroit Lions. And remember when the Cowboys played the Lions and how that game went?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean this year?
This year.
Okay.
And it was a 42-14 game, whatever it was. And they did lose Aiden Hutchinson in that game, okay? But prior to the Aiden Hutchinson injury and leading into that game, one of the most, and that was like the fifth game of the season, one of the most remarkable things about the Detroit Lions coming into that game, in my opinion, was how their injury list was about one or two players deep, and they were backup players.
Yeah.
Since then, they have been losing players left and right. I remember on the heels of that game, I said, let's wait and see where the Lions are at the end of the season because the injury bug hasn't hit them yet. And since then, it has now hit them, and it's come in waves now here in the last week or so.
Yeah, they lost two.
On their line, right?
They lost
defensive
two.
line?
Well, one of them was a DB, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they got the job.
Yeah, broken jaw, Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
And then Ali McNeil, their defensive tackle, who's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He's out for the year. But also on offense now, David Montgomery had a season-ending knee injury.
Sure did. He sure did.
And so now that duo.
They didn't talk about that, but I saw it come across the TV.
The duo of Montgomery and Gibbs has now been broken apart.
So you're telling me other people have problems other than the Cowboys having to play their backup guard at backup center.
Yep.
And the backup guard.
Yeah, just keep going, bro.
But, I mean, you look at it across the league,
DBs,
and it really is survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Especially with 17 games.
That's right. And that's where you see in Tampa Bay's getting on a roll here. Well, if you look across at their roster, they have been able to keep pretty healthy. Yeah, they had a span there where Evans and Godwin, they both lost both of them, the wide receiver, but they got Evans back, and that's why when Evans is back, that's a big back. Yeah,
they are dangerous.
Yeah, right. And Cade Otton, their tight end, has emerged as a real receiving threat this year. But that's why back when the Cowboys lost to Ron Bland in the preseason, and Jerry was like, you know what? That's all right. It's all right because we're going to get him back.
Right.
And so that's the way you have to look at things in this league is the injuries that occur, if they're coming back in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, you still got a chance. But when you lose them for the season, that's when
like Diggs,
and especially for the Cowboys now, even looking ahead to next season, when you've got two huge question marks to start the season next year on projected starters and Overshown and Diggs.
Well, you might add, I mean, he should be ready, but you can add Sam Williams to that too. Getting back from his torn ACL.
He's got a 4-month head start on the others.
Right. So you would hope, but again, Diggs may not be ready to start the season next year.
Well, when you look at this team, I see a coach that is extremely underrated. You see Todd Bowles, and I talk about at times, I talk about the Baltimore culture, talk about the culture that they have in Philadelphia, tough-minded coaches and players that just play above themselves. I think this Tampa team is a lot like that. Todd Bowles is one of the most underrated coaches, I think, in the NFL. First of all, he's so quiet. He's he's so unassuming about everything that he does.
He's
But his teams-
underrated by outsiders. People in the league
Yeah.
have the highest respect for him.
And he has really come through at this point. They're trending upward right now. I've seen them have their problems. I've seen Baker Mayfield not do so well outside the pocket, even though Mike Evans had come back. I've seen them lose a couple of games where, the defense was just better than they were. And so they're doable. There's no doubt that they are doable. We can take care of this team. But you have to worry about a culture, a team that has a culture of being one of the toughest teams in the NFL.
Sounds like you better score 30 points to beat them.
No doubt. Because Baker's he's gonna make. He's one of those guys that's very dangerous when he falls behind. Very dangerous when he falls behind.
And with Todd Bowles, I mean, it goes back. Well, of course, he was here 20 years ago, but his time.
I think he was at Grambling. he was at DC at Grambling when Doug was the coach there.
But he was on Parcells' staff here.
He was on Parcells' staff.
Yeah.
As the defensive line coach, right?
Really?
Defensive line?
I would have thought he was secondary coach.
Oh, maybe secondary. Yeah, you're right. It was secondary. I was thinking of Casey Rogers, who I think
Yeah, it was on his staff. Casey Rogers is a co-defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And Casey was with them with the Jets too.
Yeah.
So and he's followed. I mean, I guess he's probably with Arizona with them too. I don't know, but
yeah, Bowles was a good hand for the Cowboys for sure. So you got with all these backups playing on the offensive line, you got a reasonable explanation for why the running game now is flourishing, other than maybe who you're playing against?
Well, apparently it's Cooper Rush. What I'm hearing is that Cooper Rush is the reason.
Well, Jerry said that.
Well, and
Why
one of
did
the
he say
coaches
that?
yesterday said it too. Was it Schottenheimer?
Well, it would have been.
It was either Schottenheimer or McCarthy yesterday was talking about.
I don't think McCarthy did.
I think it was Schottenheimer was talking about the pre-snap reads and what the quarterback is doing to get them in the offensive line in the right spot for the run blocking. So apparently it's all Cooper Rush.
I can't give that to Cooper Rush. I'm sorry.
They
and
are.
I like Cooper Rush.
Jerry
offensive
also
line is just playing better.
He said they're
just playing better.
Jerry said on today podcast, on his segment, that they're blocking it different. So I don't know if they. That's beyond me.
So you're saying that the quarterback is the reason that they're blocking.
But he
differently.
also said the quarterback had something to do with it getting to the line of scrimmage.
The quarterback made some adjustments with the offensive line, and now they're blocking better.
Maybe it's in identifying that Mike linebacker. Dak had a problem identifying.
Right.
I mean, but it almost sounds like
when Zeke was his running back, Dak had a problem trying to find the middle linebacker.
They might be.
But wait. Before Rico's been the starting running back since day one. Since the first game of the season, Zeke was the starting running back. Rico became the starting running back in week 2. So just everyone clear on that. Okay. But apparently it has something to do with the line calls, and Cooper he's so quick to make decisions, even pre-snap and post-snap.
Is that the deal?
Well, that's what was said on the radio this morning.
Well, he said the quarterback
He processes very quickly.
He said the quarterback is making good decisions, good at the line decisions. So I don't know how that fits into the blocking scheme has changed.
Well, the quarterback's involved in making those line calls.
And he is. I mean, but I just can't say that. I'm sorry.
Right.
These guys are just playing better. The offensive line is blocking better.
That's right.
He has
maybe
nothing
they
to do with that.
changed how the runs, how the runs are designed.
Which, once again, quarterback has nothing to do with that.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say. I mean, he just calls it. It just the words come out of his mouth, and then he hands it off when he's not stumbling and bumbling.
I mean, think about it though. That 3 straight 100-yard games rushing. It's been a while since that's happened.
That offensive line is feeling real good. Of course, we're not playing against the best teams.
Well, that was about, I'm about to bring out. When Derek Brown was playing defensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers last year, they were a lot more difficult to run against.
Yes.
He got hurt the first week of the season, okay? They also are down Shaq Thompson at linebacker, and they didn't have their rookie Trevin Wallace this week at linebacker.
And they're last against the run.
They're last against the run in the NFL.
And we played the Giants before that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know if their running game is any good.
And run defense, yeah.
Then we beat somebody before that. So, yeah.
Well, how about Cincinnati's defense? How are they doing this year?
Yeah, come on.
They've tied the NFL record for most losses having scored 30 points in a game.
And that's because they suck.
So now we find out, right?
Right.
Got two teams in a row with winning records.
And you got Vita Vea.
Actually, 3 teams in a row.
That was something I was going to mention. I was thinking about it last night, just about how, you know, with the last 4 games, except for Cincinnati, those teams weren't really respected that much. This team here, they have lots of experience. The coach is good. The quarterback is good. They're good at every position. If we think we deserve to be in the playoffs, this is the game that we have to win. These are the games that we're going to have to win.
3 in a row.
Yeah, just like that.
That's right.
So since he
You're going to have to play so far above yourself from what you've been playing. It may not be above yourself from last year, but from what we've been doing this year, everybody and every area of our team has to play a whole lot better than they have been, even though we're proud of what they've been doing so far the last 3-4 games.
Cincinnati came in at 4-8, right? Now they've won 2 straight.
Yeah.
The Giants came in at
2 and whatever
2
they
and 10, maybe. I think they've
and they keep losing.
Yeah.
and they are losing. And then this team came in at 3 and 10. Carolina, right?
So the Cowboys have won 3 of their last 4 games.
And before Cincinnati,
Well, it was starting with the Washington game.
Washington, right?
Okay, Washington, and then the Giants lose to Cincinnati in heartbreaking fashion, and then win at Carolina. That's what they've done. And I'm telling you, Washington is not as good as their record.
They are taking advantage of the last place schedule.
Yeah. Think about Washington, but also think about Washington and what a couple of their wins have come against Chicago on a Hail Mary, and then this game against New Orleans. If New Orleans converts on a 2-point conversion, they lose that game. So just a little secret out there. They're not that good.
They would be a 500 team, right? If they had lost those 2 games.
That's right.
Regardless
they don't scare me.
of whatever else.
The Commanders do not
Problem
scare me.
is you got to get to that game.
Yeah.
Meaningful.
Yeah, get to that game. Make it meaningful. I can't remember. Did we already take their
No,
second?
we
break?
have
Okay.
not
All right,
taken
let's
that
take another
second
break,
break.
and we'll be back to wrap things up.
And I'll let you know what else Jerry said on his segment
There you
today.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, Amanda Foster has been named your 2024 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan for her dedication to the team and spicing up the game. Vote for Amanda to be named the NFL Ultimate Fan of the Year at NFL.com/Fan of the Year.
All right, very good. Mickey, what else did Jerry have to say this morning on the radio?
I don't know why this came up. This is important. Somebody asked him if he's ever eaten raccoon.
It came up because Xavier Legette of the Carolina Panthers made headlines by saying that he has eaten raccoon. Yeah.
And so they asked Jerry if he'd eaten raccoon, and the answer was absolutely. Either hunting or his mama made the best raccoon, and he added that, and one of the best things she cooked was squirrel.
Yeah, I was going to say I've had squirrel.
Yeah.
I've never had raccoon.
So
yeah,
Jerry's on record for raccoon. Also, he was asked about somehow this got out there. I don't know how Stephen answered the question about, the salary cap going to be tight. They acted like tight again, and I'm going, no, it's going to be tighter because of the contracts you just signed, right?
Why is that news?
Because, I don't know, Stephen said something that made them think that they can't sign Micah. And Jerry basically said, no one said in this organization we can't sign Micah.
No, the problem is they can't sign anybody else.
Right, exactly. Like,
that's the decision.
Do you want to re-sign
Micah or
Rico, depending on what somebody else offers him? Can you re-sign Osa because of the way he's playing? He's going to get some attention. Can you re-sign Kendricks, who was playing on a one-year deal? So that's the problem, but he wanted to make sure that the salary cap was going to be tight next year, but he did not mention anything about not being able to sign Micah.
I think if you have a team, you can pay 3 superstars, right?
But not at the top of their position, which was where you're headed, right?
Yeah.
Now, CD is second, right?
Yeah.
But he's really first because guess what? In Minnesota, they got state income tax.
Okay.
right? We're talking as far as the salary cap is concerned.
Yes.
I mean, but you're right. You have to hit on all of the, not all of them, but you have to keep churning the roster with finding those players who can do what these players are doing right now.
Right.
These undrafted guys that are performing.
Or your third-round picks, Leofau, Overshown.
Time to play, buddy. We don't have no development time. Get your butt out here. Let's go.
Well, and with the injuries, I mean, I would love somebody, and especially with the new injured reserve rules now, injured reserve is used a lot more than it couldn't be used but once a year, not that long ago. Are there more injuries now than what there were 20 years ago? It sure seems like it.
We kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Which means that you have to have a 90-man roster, basically. You go to training camp with a 90-man roster, and most of these teams, including the practice squad, they're using, throughout the course of the year, 75 to 80 players easily.
I don't have time to count it, but I will for tomorrow and see how many guys have actually played in a game, and I bet it's getting. I did it at one point, and it was in the low 60s. I bet it's to 70 by now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 75.
And what was McCarthy?
And especially with the practice squad elevations, you are naturally going to have some. Yeah. And so, like, if a guy is hurting for a week or so, you can not make him active for a week, and you elevate a practice squad guy, and that's going to raise those numbers some than what they used to do. But I mean, I think it's been great for the league and for those journeyman players to be able to have opportunities, You
don't know who the hell anybody is anymore, man.
But it's great for them to still have life in the league. Josh Butler. I mean, and Keemon Hall.
Yeah.
Those
Keep
guys.
on going. We have a bunch of them this year.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. And other teams have those same guys that are able to continue to keep hope alive for their NFL careers. And
I must admit, it's impressive to watch this team do the same thing. I mean, you don't know half the defensive linemen. You definitely don't know half the DBs. I'm about to ask Spags, who do we have left at defensive back? Do we even have a dime package? He's not listening.
He's distracted.
65 right now.
We have 65 dime packages?
No. 65 players have played at least one snap.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot.
And there might be more because I didn't look at the special teams. I was just counting offense, defense.
Yeah. It's going to get up 75. Watch.
Didn't McCarthy say when they won the Super Bowl they used 77?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So nothing's changed.
And now that there's 17 games, now that there's 17 games, you're going to need more.
Okay, Mickey, you have a TV assignment you got to go do?
I do.
Where can we catch this?
Cowboy on your station tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cowboys today.
CBS Texas tomorrow at 8:25. Okay.
That's
All right. We'll look forward to that. And
I'll be on the fan in 13 minutes.
And Everson looks forward to the mess hall opening here in 13 minutes.
I'm going to have to go break the door down. Hey, I got to go.
Otherwise, we'll be back at our regular time. Noon tomorrow here on Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!